Here's a RobotGavins. So should I play the robot? Let's play the robots. Let's play the robot. I'm not sure how well you can hear what's happening here around me. So I definitely can hear my kids playing in the other room. And it's pretty loud. So let me know. That's the story of my life. I mean, almost each and every stream of mine is featuring the sounds coming from my kids. So if you're following my streams, you probably already know that. Okay, so we have the Scotch, right? And the main line, which is pretty good. Because many people tend to play the Scotch 4 knights, which is, in my opinion, quite, quite boring. Here we have pretty odd pawn structure and hands. Not so clear scenario. So here I like to exert some pressure on c4. The idea being just to play bishop b4, I think, at some point, then bishop to a6. And white is going to have some problems, protecting the pawn on c4. Let's have a look. We can do it. We also prepare castling, but it's not necessarily a safe place for a king. Okay, so there was a comment that I love your YouTube channel, really helped me get better. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Bishop to a6. I think it's very logical, right? White didn't do a lot to prevent me from doing it. So now c4 is under attack. And as I said before, when the bishop is on b4, b3 is kind of prevented, right? It's not possible. So maybe we're just winning a pawn now. Yeah, we do. And at the same time, we exchange white's probably most annoying piece, the light squared bishop. Without that bishop, it will be very hard for white to organize the attack on the king side, which is just a great news for black, right? There was a comment on move 8, bishop a6 seemed to be the best in my opinion. Well, yes, it's one of the moves. There is also a5 option, so there are different possibilities on that move. It's pretty rich position. Sometimes these lines are just, intersecting. Sometimes the one line transforms into another one. Some of them are separate. Yeah. In many cases, it's just, boiling down to the question of taste. I don't know. But you're right. That was also possible, for sure. Now I'm wondering if I can take on c3, simplifying the things a bit. Is it a good idea for me? Bishop c3, bishop takes, and then even d5 may be an interesting move. d5, e takes d6, queen takes c4, bishop e4. We kinda trying to win the exchange, then bishop from a4 takes on c6, and white regains the exchange, I believe. No, it's not a good idea for us. But taking on c3 looks correct to me. Because our dark square bishop is not very good, usually. And that knight is potentially very annoying, so this exchange is something I do like. Now we can probably simplify the position even more by playing queen to g6, which is attacking the bishop on d3, and the bishop cannot take on c4 because queen is hanging, right? And if queen g6, hg6, we're just exchanging the material. Yeah, let's try it. I mean, it's a bit sophisticated probably, but I think this way we just exchange queens immediately, and without queens there is no attack. Simple as that. If there is no attack, one doesn't have a clear compensation for missing pawn, in my opinion. Yeah, we have, you know, some doubled pawns, but in a sense, it's a good thing, because this pawn structure allows our knight to come back to b6 and then go to d5. And then the advantage of the knight over the bishop will be obvious, I think. So there's another comment about seems to be more active bishop a6 than the knight on b6. Oh, you mean even earlier, right? So bishop a6 instead of knight b6, that's an alternative, yeah. That's a different story. It leads to very complicated lines that I'm just too lazy to memorize. Not that I know this line's very good, but at least here I understand what's going on the board, which means I can play it. Now look at my knight. That's amazing. And here is the immediate profit. Of course, f4 was a blunder, but even without that blunder, I mean, with such a knight on d5 and such a bad bishop on b2 and extra pawn for black, I think black had pretty good chances to win the game. This is probably not helping. Why? Because it leads to more open files, and since we're winning the exchange now, that's exactly what I need for my rooks. The more open files, the better. Now we have also pretty impressive pawn fist here in the center, which is very nice. Okay. Bishop f6 doesn't do anything, so let's take there. And a d6, just preparing a very comfortable position for king on d7 to start with. And then a bit later we'll start pushing our pawns, right? So it's pretty close. So my next action would be probably c5. Nothing stops me from doing that. Now I control b4, so I can play a4 and create another weakness on the queen side. Also rook f8 or rook f7 was probably just winning. As I said before, there are some positions in which it's not very important what you do. The only requirement is to do something meaningful. Yeah. Now we have at least two, well, actually three, if we count correctly, connected passers, right? That can move immediately here. So, yeah, I guess it's very close. It's very close. Let's just put the rook here. To control this third rank... Oh, h3 was hanging. Just forgot about that one. Doesn't matter. Let's continue with the main plan. The main plan is just to promote those pawns, right? The king can help. Finally activating that rook, which was sleeping there, far away. Just in time. Here we go. These pawns may beat the rook even without the help of other pieces, by the way, right? But here they're very well supported by other pieces as well. So let's have a look at the analysis board where white made a mistake. Well, obviously, right after bishop to b4 move, I think. So the right move here is bishop to d2, so that after bishop a6, there is a possibility to play b3. Simple as that, right? So bishop b4 is mainly about that, about attacking c4, although it may look that black is just attacking something like the knight on c3, but no. The idea is that this move stops the pawn b2 from moving, which means c4 is now much more vulnerable. By the way, a few words about this very moment. There was a tactical option of playing c5, but I don't think it works that well, although it deserves serious attention. The idea being bishop takes c5 leads to bishop takes a6, so white is just simply winning. If I take on d3, you may try... Well, actually, that's it. That's the refutation. I thought that... Well, maybe not quite, so let's have a look. Queen takes b4 is an option here. I take on e5, and this may be very tricky because in addition to bishop e3, which looks like an automatic reaction, you may have something like king d2. Attacking the bishop and creating a threat of rook e1. I have just noticed that this may be very painful for black, actually. And this is in addition to the knight on b6, which is still hanging. I don't know. The point is, knight controls e2, right? So there is no queen e2 checkmate whatsoever. And this is annoying, okay? Maybe after all, it was not that great. But okay, there is a normal move. Well, couple of normal moves. So the one is knight to d5. In which case, I think this position is pretty normal for black. g2 is under attack. There are some targets. Light squares are terrible in white's camp, so I may think of just, bringing the bishop back and then playing queen to d3 at some point. But you understand the idea, so the point is I can start the attack against the king, a direct attack against the king at any moment, so we have the middle game here with opposite colored bishops, right? And this fact only amplifies the attack of one of the sides. So the side which usually starts the attack first benefits enormously, probably wins the game. And another option is to play knight to c4, I think. Also, I'm not sure what to do with this pawn. Now I want to take it with the knight, probably. But even taking with the queen now becomes possible because the knight controls d2 square, so there is no this crazy king d2 move. Okay? So, yeah. And if you, for example, take on d3 with a queen, I think I can just play knight d5 at very least, right? Bishop c5 is also an option, but in that case your knight stays alive. I don't know, maybe it's okay for black as well. But even if that doesn't work, knight to d5 looks pretty good to me, because c5 is under attack. We can still take on c3, we can still attack the c5 if we want. Yeah, I mean, black has no problems. But something like this deserves attention. Always, if there is a bishop on a6 which is not protected, something like c5 may become an annoying surprise. But in this case, I think it worked okay for black. After castling, I got pretty simple position. I think this one is already pretty good. So there is nothing to discuss. Black is just dominating here on light squares, have an extra pawn. And the maneuver I performed here, bring the knight to an amazing spot on d5. Just, highlights the power of black's pieces here. All right, white's pieces are quite passive. Not only does bishop suffer from it, but also rooks fail to find any activity here because all the files are covered and yeah, there is not so much to do.